It is Saturday Morning Cartoons. I'm your host, Quick Draw McGraw. This is my co-host, Baba Louie. Snagglepuss will be in just a little while. Is anybody old enough to remember that? Today I'm going to finish up the 7 Secrets of Solomon, as outlined in the damn good book, The Key to Solomon's Key. Is this the lost symbol of Masonry? The first edition of this was subtitled Secrets of Magic and Masonry, which exactly it is. But I spend a lot of time before I write in the last half of this book a handbook of Goetic magic, sort of a manual, if you will, a do-it-yourself desert island Goetic magic handbook kind of thing. But I spend the first half talking about esoteric, I guess, the esoteric point of view of, I'm going to turn this light off over here, of Freemasonry, especially particularly Blue Lodge Masonry. And if examined deeply enough, reveals wonderful information, wisdom about Solomonic magic. The point being that the character in person and the magical formula that is embedded in the Solomonic myth, or the myth of King Solomon, is a fundamental key to the mastery of ceremonial magic. The bottom line being, in order to do magic, you have to be a magician. And what is a magician? And a magician is a person that whose consciousness is no longer a slave to certain, I guess, psychological restrictions. It's an independent being who is, and in my words here, let's see what my words said. It's a primary secret of Solomonic magic. As long as the magician remains plugged in to that which is above, he or she is simultaneously plugged in to and must master that which is below. And I sort of outline this at the very end with what I call the 7 Secrets of Solomon. And we're just going to discuss very briefly today, because it's Saturday. We want to go out, get barefoot, and go fishing, or whatever. Solomonic secret number 1 was the individual is the fundamental unit. Secret number 2 was human beings are inherently good. Number 3 was human beings evolve, and with intent can accelerate the evolutionary process. Secret number 4, all is consciousness. And what we covered yesterday, secret number 5, was deity, archangels, angels, intelligences, spirits, demons, and you and I are personifications of a hierarchy of consciousness. And today, Solomon's secret number 6. It is our duty to master and redirect the lower forces to constructive ends. Spiritual evolution does not occur in a vacuum. Our consciousness is raised because vibratory room has been made above to accommodate it. I'm going to read that sentence again because I boggled it. Spiritual evolution does not occur in a vacuum. Our consciousness is raised because vibratory room has been made above to accommodate it. We are promoted to boss when our boss is promoted to a bigger boss, in corporate terms. As above, so below. With authority comes responsibility. Once awakened to our true spiritual status, we realize that we are actually in charge of a roughneck crew of demons. Aspects of our lower consciousness, if you choose to call it that. Unless we immediately demonstrate who's the boss and get these guys busy working on our, quote, temple, they will soon gain the upper hand and return to running amok at our expense. This secret is innocuously revealed to the newly raised Master Mason when he is told, quote, as a Master Mason, you were authorized to correct the irregularities of your less informed brethren, to fortify their minds with resolution against the snares of the insidious, and to guard them against every allurement to vicious practices, unquote. Now, that does sound innocuous enough, but we're putting this in context with Solomon in control of the workmen of the temple. His completed temple is the microcosmic replica in stone of deity itself, fashioned so perfectly it reflects the macrocosmic perfection of God. Okay, that's Solomon's secret number 6. It's our duty to master and redirect the lower forces to constructive ends. But if I may digress just for a minute, okay? His temple, the temple that the magician is building, okay? Himself or herself, the individual, me, I'm building a perfect temple. That's my job. It's sort of a beat up. It's a fixer-upper. You start with being a fixer-upper. Okay, you need to make it perfect. Otherwise, you're not a reflection of the divine. And this idea of King Solomon's temple being a story of creating a perfectly proportioned working model of the cosmos. Not just guesswork. I mean, every dimension, every dimension of height and depth and width and all the proportions. The idea was if you could build that perfectly proportioned working model of the cosmos, it would vibrate exactly in tune with the cosmos itself, the greater cosmos around it. If it was imperfect, it would vibrate crazily, okay? But if it was perfect, it would be a perfect reflection, like a tuning fork. Let's say the big cosmic existence, the huge, big whatever it is. Call it God, if you will. God is like a giant tuning fork. And that vibration of that tuning fork is creating and sustaining and destroying and creating and sustaining and destroying not only the universe, but everything. Everything is held in that vibration. That, you call it the big owl. And everything is taking place within that vibration. Now that's a big tuning fork. But if we could make a little tuning fork to the exact proportions, relative proportions, smaller, of the big tuning fork, just like when you take a tuning fork that would be 10 octaves below middle C, and make an exact duplicate of that big tuning fork that's going, okay, make a little tiny tuning fork that's the exact same proportions. The big vibration of whoa would set into motion the tiny tuning fork that was 50 octaves above middle C, but it'd still be middle C. And the idea of building a temple that is the perfectly proportioned miniature working model of the cosmos is just doing that. That's why they said, build me a temple and I will indwell it. Okay, build me a perfect tuning fork, a little tuning fork, and the big vibration will indwell it. It'll set it to... That's how you invite God into the house. You make a perfectly functional working model of the big house. But I digress. Solomon's secret number 7. As we are raised, so must we raise. In the previous chapter, I wrote that as long as a magician remains plugged in to that which is above, he or she is simultaneously plugged in and must begin to master that which is below. The 7th secret of Solomon adds that not only is this our duty to master and direct the spirits beneath us, we must also, as we advance, make sure they advance as well. It does us no good to raise our own status if we are unwilling to raise the status of those beneath us. In fact, failing to do so immediately disconnects us from the source and unplugs us from the magical circuitry of the cosmos. Once as I was searching around for an analogy to that, I used the image of a syringe or a turkey baster, okay? And if you were the plunger, the rubber plunger of a syringe, and as you raised yourself in spiritual vibration, and as you expanded your consciousness, it would be like the plunger, the plug, being pulled up into the cylinder of the syringe. You're going like that. And if the needle end of the syringe is open and unoccluded, okay, everything beneath it, including whatever the viscous liquid is that's at the bottom, rises up with it. Okay? It doesn't stay down there. It comes up with you. Okay? But if the syringe needle is plugged up, is occluded, stopped up with gunk and selfishness and all of your shortcomings that will eventually bite you in the butt. If it is occluded, yes, the plunger may come up. Okay? You may think, oh yes, I'm raising my consciousness, okay? But you're not bringing up what is beneath you. And as you get higher and higher, and this is why they say, well, how can a high magician fall? This is how a high magician can fall. Because as you go up, if you're not bringing that which is below along with you, it creates a vacuum. And you'll only be able to go so high with your plunger before that vacuum becomes so strong and pulls you back down to the belowness yourself. That's the Faustian. The magician flew too high. Well, if the magician had taken care to bring that which is below up with the magician, that wouldn't happen. The great 19th century magician Eliphas Levi wrote a marvelous little poem called The Magician that perfectly illustrates this great Solomon's secret, this greatest of Solomon's secrets. I say, as we are raised, we must raise. I can think of no better way to conclude this portion of our talk. The Magician. O Lord, deliver me from hell's great fear and gloom. Loose thou my spirit from the larvae of the tomb. I seek them in their dread abodes without a fright. On them will I impose my will, the law of light. I bid the night conceive the glittering hemisphere. Arise, O sun, arise. O moon, shine white and clear. I seek them in their dread abodes without a fright. On them will I impose my will, the law of light. Their faces and their shapes are terrible and strange. These devils by my might to angels I will change. These nameless horrors I address without a fright. On them will I impose my will, the law of light. These are phantoms, pale of mine astonished view, yet none but I their blasted beauty can renew. For to the abyss of hell I plunge without a fright. On them will I impose my will, the law of light. And I know that's a little short for Saturday morning cartoons, but that's where I'll leave it. Tomorrow will be Sunday school, and I hope you'll be with me tomorrow. Until then, continue to be good to yourself. Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.